Hi everybody, so it's time for my review of the Resident Evil 4 remake, which I've been playing over the last week or so since it came out, and I've got to say, it's an amazing game, straight away. If you're a fan of Resident Evil, you're going to love it. Even if you like games like DayZ, which this channel is mainly about, I think you're going to like this as well. But first, a little bit of a background. So, why is there a Resident Evil 4 remake? Well, obviously Resident Evil 4, the original, came out a long time ago, and it's a bit clunky, has tank controls, and I've gone back and tried to play it because it's seen as one of the classic video games of all time, and I'm a big Resident Evil 2 and 3 fan, and Code Veronica. They're the kind of games I played from the series back in the day, sort of thing. And I played the Resident Evil 2 remake, which I really enjoyed, and the Resident Evil 3 remake, which I really enjoyed. Played Resident Evil 7, which I really enjoyed. So Resident Evil 4, they've remade it, and they've done a fantastic job. And in this game, you're playing as Leon again, and you're a secret operative who's tasked with rescuing the president's daughter who's gone missing. And you're in Spain, and then that's where we kind of start off, and the fun then starts. And probably why Resident Evil 4, the original, and this is such a game changer for the franchise, or was such a game changer for the franchise, is that it kind of shifts Resident Evil away from just purely kind of a survival horror to a much more action horror gameplay experience. So you're much more able to deal with enemies in terms of all the different weapons you have, but also the melee actions you have, and they've added more into Resident Evil 4 Remake because you have things like a parry with your knife and stealth kills with your knife, so it's kind of adding these extra bits in that allow you to become quite an effective character. And what you're seeing here is this is the gameplay from my first my first replay, if you like. So I've completed the game after about 20 hours, and I'm going back in again, and because I'm using the same save, I've got access to my more powerful weapons like the Magnum and the assault rifle and the submachine gun. Obviously you won't have that when you start playing. It won't be as quite as effective as what you see, but this game, I mean, it looks absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. You know, when you look at these games, these Resident Evil remakes, you think, oh wow, this is what video games should look like. The atmosphere is amazing, the sound is beautiful, the textures, you know, you can just go into the quieter areas where you're not being attacked, and you can just soak up the visual storytelling that comes with the game. And it has those experiences that I really enjoy in Resident Evil, where you'll go from somewhere that is completely desolate and ruined, like inside like a village or a castle where it's all falling to bits, and then you go into another area where everything's kept perfect, you know, like the living quarters. And I think it was in Resident Evil 2 Remake, I could be wrong, but where you were going around Raccoon City and the police station, it was all kind of wrecked and dead bodies and mess everywhere. And then I think it was the police chief's office you went into. They had like the stuffed animals on the walls, and that was all perfect and pristine, and you got this different feeling when you went in there, and I really like that, you know, the sense of like luxury in certain parts and desolation and the apocalypse in others. The guns feel great and sound great, you know, they feel like they have real impact. You've really got to be careful about your ammunition. The zombies are very different in this game as well. They're not zombies. These are people who have got a parasite inside them. So they've still got quite a bit of intelligence left, so they can use weapons. Some of them use ranged weapons. And you come across soldiers later on as well that have still got the parasite in them. And then there's the usual variants as well. And some of the transformations that the people have when you sort of kill them and they transform into an alternate form, really are scary and are quite they take your breath away with the way that they look. And then there's also some like insects and things like that, and various sort of spiders and stuff, some very clever ones as well. I don't really want to talk about it because I don't want to give away what they do, but it's quite clever what happens. The main character, Leon, yeah, he's a meathead, but he's a funny meathead. And I really like it in Resident Evil, where you have this idea that what appears to be a medieval Spanish cult that the president's daughter actually has fallen into, but there's more layers behind this. You know, when you delve deeper, all is not what it seems. Just like in Raccoon City, you know, in Resident Evil 2, where, you know, you've got this zombie outbreak, but there's something behind that zombie outbreak. The game has these amazing wow moments as well in terms of vistas. So you'll come out in an area and you've been fighting inside a castle or inside the village, and then you come out and you can look across this whole area and you'll be like, wow, this is cool. There isn't quite as much coming and going as you'll get in, like, say, a Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3, you know, where you've got like a hub area and you go somewhere to get something and you go somewhere else and you come back and you go back and you keep going backwards and forwards. It's a lot more linear than that as you progress. And for me, after about 10 to 12 hours, I probably felt that this could have been maybe my game of the year, maybe level with something like Hogwarts Legacy. But sometimes I think that maybe this is because I'm a content creator and I'm always thinking about what the next thing is going to be. I tend to feel that after that, I feel that the game's a little bit long. Now, you may well not feel like this, and again, I think this may be the fact that, you know, I'm very aware that, you know, I need to make videos about video games, and if I'm spending an awful lot of time in a video game, I'm thinking, right, okay, it's time to finish this. You know, you've had a great experience, you've had a lot of fun, you've got the feel of the game, you've enjoyed yourself. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. But saying that, I put probably, I think, 30 to 40 hours, if not more, into Hogwarts Legacy. So maybe it's also to do with the fact that I tend to be a little bit spoiled with open world games now. Because one of the strengths and weaknesses of Resident Evil is that it is very linear. You know, you get to an area, you explore a little bit, you get stuck because you can't open a door, you have to find the pieces or solve the puzzle to get through that door, you fight some enemies, you gather some more resources, you explore a bit more, you get stuck, you find the puzzles or the things you need to get through the next door, and you keep going, you know, and then you'll have a boss, you know, there'll be a big boss you've got to fight, and so on, and you keep going. Where with something like Hogwarts Legacy or other open world games, you can progress through the main story, but when you think, oh, actually, I don't really want to go through the main story, but I want to be in this world, you can go off and do some side missions. You can kind of do that with Resident Evil. You know, you could go looking for, in this game, there's the trader, and he gives you little tasks that you could do, like go and kill all the rats in a particular area. But it's not the same as being able to go off and do a side story that doesn't really matter, but is fun to do and keeps you in that world. And it kind of, and having played something like Hogwarts Legacy recently as well, which has amazing graphics as well, I wonder if you could have an open world Resident Evil game with that sort of structure, where you have the main storyline and then you have lots of side quests. Because Hogwarts Legacy, some of that was quite dark, obviously not Resident Evil dark, but I think it could be done, and maybe that's something they should think about. But you may well not feel like that, because you are getting an awful lot of game for your money here. I think it was about 20 hours it took me to finish it. It felt like a lot longer. And then you have the replayability of going in and then finding all the collectibles and doing all the tasks, being able to go in with your weapons that you've unlocked before, and you can buy different sort of weapons so that you can kind of be even more aggressive in the game and really look round and finish everything, or maybe put it on a harder level, that sort of stuff. This is a real quality video game, you know? Where this could be your main game for sort of 2 months, where you're just playing through it again, and you'll probably come back and play it again, you know, in a year's time. And I think if you're just a fan of great video games, you'll definitely love this. And if you're a fan of Resident Evil, you definitely will. And I think for many people and for many publications, I think this is going to be Game of the Year, definitely, because of the sheer quality that Capcom produce with these games. They really are absolutely amazing, and I'm super looking forward to, I don't know, I guess it'd be Resident Evil 5 remake maybe in a couple of years' time as well. So for me, it's not quite as good as Hogwarts Legacy. I know they're different games, purely because I felt that it dragged on a little bit. Not that those ending levels were worse than the initial ones. Some of the best levels are near the end, some of the most exciting things you get to do. But for me, in a linear story-driven game where it's just intense all the time, the gameplay loop is so intense that sometimes I'm ready to finish after about 10 to 15 hours, and those extra 5 hours are a little bit more for me. But again, that is value for money, because many games that are shorter, if you'd spent £60 on this, you'd be like, oh well, actually I do want those extra hours. But anyway, that's my opinion. This will probably be second in my game of the year so far. Hogwarts Legacy first, this second. It's a great game. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And if you look at the footage and think, yeah, I like this, then you should pick it up and give it a go. Anyway, what do you think? Put your questions and comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, subscribe. And I will, of course, see you again soon.